there was a great piece written in the USA Today newspaper, magazine, which was by a guy who grew up in Venezuela. It was mind-blowing. And his basic message, he wrote his article calling it was an opinion piece, Venezuela was my home, and socialism destroyed it. Slowly, it will destroy America too. These are the kind of stories that every kid on college campuses in America should have to read. This guy happened to come to America, lucky for him, to go to college, but his name is Daniel DiMartino, and he wrote about growing up in Venezuela and how, to start growing up in Venezuela, because they had communists take over the country. The communists took over ownership of the grocery stores to make sure they were fair and everybody had their, whatever they needed, which resulted in starvation and poverty and lack and empty store shelves. So he talked about, remembering the first time it ever happened to him, he was 14 years old, he was 15 years old, in the year 2014, he's in Caracas, he goes to the grocery store, waits in line for hours to finally get the small amount of rations the government permits his family to have, gets the checkout counter, doesn't have his national ID card issued by the government, can't have the groceries, and can't come back for a week. So this is an example of government-controlled economy, socialist-controlled economy. This was Venezuela. In 2015, a kid can't buy groceries. 2014, kid can't buy groceries. He talked about the way that the socialist government, because Venezuela, again, is socialist. They're not really communist. They are socialists, they say. So he talked about the things as government took over these various industries and items that they needed, what happened to the country. So he talked about how the government had taken over the electrical industry, the power industry, in an effort, said the government, to make electricity free. So to make it free, the government took over control of the power companies, resulting in blackouts for them, lack of waters. He said lack of water. The government took it over, electricity in 2007. By 2016, his home lost power roughly once a week. As to water, far, far worse. The government took over, they were helping, distribute water. So they ended up with, even worse, their family didn't have running water. It used to be for only about 1 day per month. But as the years passed, we sometimes went several weeks straight without running water because the socialist government is controlling distribution of water. For the water problem, the socialist government blamed an iguana, not even kidding, right-wing sabotage, and even the weather, that they in Venezuela could not get water into the homes in their country. Venezuela having and by the way, Venezuela as a per capita issue has the most water available per citizen of any country in the world, more than the U.S., but couldn't in an organized manner, get water to the people in their homes. He went on to talk about the proven oil reserves, largest in the world, fresh water resources, blah, blah, blah. The real reason, he writes, my family went without water and electricity was the socialist economy instituted by Chavez and Maduro. He talks about the welfare program. They had ever-growing welfare programs. Sound familiar? They had a new minimum wage, kept increasing minimum wage. Okay, one more thing. And they kept nationalizing all sorts of industries, creating a colossal government deficit, which the central bank solved by printing money. This is sounding so Obama-esque here, folks. And then he said, he talked about his own parents who were very successful. They for 2 jobs, they could have a nice life. By the end of the time before his parents fled Venezuela and went to Spain, between the two of them working, they could earn enough to buy about 6 pounds of chicken an entire month. That's what they could afford to buy with 2 people working full time. And this guy is very clever. He's saying, look, you go guaranteed minimum wage, and you keep raising the minimum wage, and you promise things for free, and you're gonna do everything for free, and you're gonna give things to people for free. All it does is lead to misery, starvation. And if you, by the way, folks, I cannot encourage you strongly enough to read this story on my website, americacanwetalk.org. On the homepage, under shows, list of links, this story is in there. This guy it's like he's screaming from the rooftops in writing this, watching America get duped by the Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, frankly, Ilhan Omar, and others talking about the beauties of socialism. And he's saying, no, I've lived it. I know it. It is horrible. He specifically calls out Medicare for all, recipe for disaster for our healthcare system, the Green New Deal, which is the Green New Deal is nothing other than the socialist takeover of America, and he calls it that. He says, you're getting sold all of this stuff, just like I did in Venezuela. Don't fall for it. That is this young man's message. And I'm going to do one more point in this story. Then I want to turn to talk about our friend Bernie Sanders and his speech last week at George Washington. But, you know, what happens in selling socialism in countries is they sell it in terms that sound friendly and nice and good. Who could be against that? It sounds so nice. They're going to make electricity fair. They're going to make water distribution fair. They're going to make wages fair. So the government's going to control it. That's what socialism is. But socialism creeps its way into America. You know, that expression, 1,000 cuts, death by 1,000 cuts. Because every step we make along the way, surrendering to what some leftist argues is somehow a way to make America fairer, is a step toward the path of Venezuelan socialist misery. And now I want to play, and there are a lot of examples I could give, but I want to get to playing the clip of Bernie Sanders. I'm just going to play one brief clip. In America, we had a woman, actually I'm going to hit the Denver City Council person. In Denver, this is a woman who ran and won for city council, and she is a flat-out communist. Here's her clip, if we can play that.
In late phase capitalism, and we know it doesn't work, and we've got to move into something new. And I believe in community ownership of land, labor, resources, and distribution of those resources. And so whatever that morphs into, I think is what will serve community the best. And I'm excited to usher it in by any means necessary.
Okay. This is what this woman's name, by the way, is Candy Sidibaka, and she actually won a seat on the Denver City Council. She is using the communist language by any means necessary, and she's telling America, in the face of Venezuela collapsing, the Cubans are starving, the Chinese want to get the heck out of there, and no one has enough in China. And she's telling you, in America, capitalism is failing. This is insane level assessment of the world, insane level assessment of truth, but she's succeeding. She got elected to the city council in Denver, and we have the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez continuing to spout socialism as though she's the most brilliant and it's the greatest system ever, and Bernie Sanders is doing it.